And it's kind of the situation, man. Like, apparently, if if these odds was put against my life, that and it's obvious, no other explanation for it is that this was just like, I guess why I was apparently a purpose, or something of mine. I mean, it ain't really nothing else that I could, really say. I mean, I've been talking about this situation. It's been a long running situation. It's not isolated, and and it's just the way it is. My stuff. Like they can see my quotes, like the recap coming along. They can see all my recent stuff. It shows people what kind of man I am. So, that adds to my credibility. I mean, which is unnecessary for me because I'm an eyewitness of these things that I say. And then so that right there, that adds that special importance to my following words, or it should. I mean, I don't. There's no reason as to why it wouldn't, unless. And so I'm not obligated to just accept, people not being held responsible for what they did, And the thing is, like, apparently, I mean, if I have to perish, quote unquote, behind doing the right thing, representing Christ Jesus, what I'm saying, representing the Bible, speaking about biblical things, and also just staying true to myself and embracing my natural God-given talent in art and literature. What I'm saying? Just like so many other artists and people do that's not subject to the same thing. And it's weird, because I mean, I haven't done nowhere near anything that, some entities and influences have did, And so that's just that, but I say that to say this, though, if, like, in my life, I never had, like, a legion of people, you feel me, that was there to defend me. You feel me? Like, I didn't have, like, a whole entire cities, what I'm saying, to protect me and watch my back, what I'm saying? I didn't have, like, whole, what I'm saying, groups and things to, make sure I'm good and things like that. I never had that, see? So when I'm speaking the truth about the Bible and things, what I'm saying, and I'm being attacked, okay, for me to find out at any point in my life, what I'm saying, that you don't understand how it feels. So I'm putting into perspective. For me to find out at any point in my life, there was at least just one person or two people or three people, you feel me, that cared about my life enough, that they realized that the odds was like 100, like the odds were like, it was something against me that it was no way possible that I could, defend myself by any means, period. You know what I'm saying? Then and somebody saw that, and then, they had compassion in their heart. You know what I'm saying? Or they loved me. You feel me? They cared about me, and they tried to do something, you know what I'm saying, given the unfair nature of the situation. And, the fact that, they knew that I wasn't the kind of person that deserved that kind of thing. And they knew that I'm being attacked with things that, you know what I'm saying, overpower me, outweigh me. And then they know it's not fair, it's not right, it's not godly, it's not, it's not justified. It's like, it's just a bad, wrong situation. You feel me? Like, all around. It's nothing good about it, nothing right about it, nothing fair about it, nothing equal about it. It's just a situation that was not brought on myself. And then to know that at least, just a couple people or something saw that. You feel me? And then maybe they tried to, like, speak out about it or something like that. And then to find that, that they ended up perishing behind that or something, before I even had knowledge of, what I was up against, then I have a natural obligation, to stand by my testimony and witness of Jesus. If I know that the purpose of that wave of demonic and dark energy that was fixated on me obsessively, you feel me, to ensure that my talent didn't get the right recognition, or that my light didn't shine for God the way it was supposed to, or whatever the situation was, the envy or whatever, for me to know that was the purpose of it in the first place, then me being who I am, you know what I'm saying, I'm obligated, by nature, by muscle, you know what I'm saying, to pursue the paths of righteousness, the straight and narrow, the things that's consistent with what my foundation was built upon, which was the scripture. And for me to know and see my talent, I have that obligation that, if necessary, to even perish behind the things, you know what I'm saying, that I stand by, because it's the right thing and it's God's will. You feel me? It's the right thing to do as aligning to the Holy Bible, which I built my foundation on. You feel me? So I don't really care about nothing else. You feel me? I just care about doing what's right anyway. You know what I'm saying? And this is a situation that nobody will fight me on because it's righteousness. Only who would fight me on is Satan. You know what I'm saying? Literally, is nobody has nothing to gain by destroying the vessel of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But the devil. It's that simple. When you think about it, it's rational. It makes sense. You know? They see the content of my character. They see the substance of my contribution. You know, that's the point of me doing the recap. They see what kind of man I was, you know what I'm saying, what I am, and who I will always be, you know. Whatever evil was did against me did not define me. And so for me to know that, you know, it just put that much, it just made the fire, you know, for God, for to do the right thing that much more intense. You know, because I realized, you know what I'm saying, because me knowing, you know what I'm saying, what I already been through, and then me knowing personally, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, the content of the character of good people, you know, the good people that's in the world and things like that. For me to know that, I'm fine with that, you know, and it just pretty much bring that much more, you know, like that much more drive, you feel me, to my righteous cause. Because, I mean, as an artist, you know what I'm saying, anyway. And so, you know, all this stuff, that's what's been mainly targeted by them attacking every other part of my life and them being present in my life against my will for no basis or anything, as my testimony clearly shows. And that's the proof of it. So, I mean, that's been the situation. Like, you know, then it's like a double teaming type thing. It's like if somebody just pretty much, some structure, Antichrist power just decided to do like all in to ensure that, you know, that God don't be glorified. Because whoever been watching me since 2012, 13, 14, you know, especially 13, which was early, I had started right only 2 years before that. They already knew off muscle that if, you know, whatever, if I grew in my art, then it was going to be to glorify God. You know what I'm saying? They knew that in advance. So anything that followed after that was for that reason, to stop God from being glorified. And it's that simple. It makes perfect sense. All the slandering thing, that's small stuff. That's not relevant. You feel me? The bigger picture is, you know, someone's interest in stopping God from being glorified. And it's that simple. You know, the slander things, it holds weight only to people. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that on purpose. It's overhyped. The slanders were overhyped. Way beyond, you know what I'm saying? So that's suspicious. You feel me? That's suspicious. The slanders were overhyped in spite of contrary, blatant proof of, you know, the folly and the fallacy of, you know, the confirmation biases that those slanders were consistent of. So, I mean, it ain't really no other explanation for it, y'all. I didn't know who all said what. I didn't care. But it's like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, you know who slandered, defaming me, where you see this proof, you see the truth. Okay, that John over with dead. You know what I'm saying? Look at this, you know, look at his talent, look at his quality, look at this, you know what I'm saying? That's how I see it, just like they would do for other influencers and artists. You know, they forget stuff just like that, and then they embrace their new stuff, and then that junk was over. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it hundreds of times already, you know, in society. So I'm like, why is that so different for me? It's like we want it to be stuck on lies about me. Like they chose intentionally to be stuck on, that's suspicious. And then when you couple it with what we already know, and then the things many say they had already knew that I had no knowledge of, nor was I ever notified about any of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's showing you that it's something very, very weird and strange going on there. And then, you know, these people that's preferred, you know, war was already declared on me. You know what I'm saying? The war was declared on me when I was young. Like, you know, especially when I started writing, you know what I'm saying? And then people see my own talent and natural abilities early on. You know what I'm saying? It was already war declared on me before I even picked up a pencil. You feel me? Or like before I started writing, I was just drawing. You know, so I used to love to draw, doodling, and you know what I'm saying, drawing, making comic books, and you know, write up, you know, about fantasy characters and concepts and abstract art and things like that. I love that kind of stuff. Then I switched over to writing, and then you know what I'm saying, they was already waiting on that. Before they was waiting on that, you know. Then when they realized I had some talent, then that's when they launched the slanders. Like they was already holding certain slanders, like they was holding it. You feel me? They just dropped it on me. And so, like, you know, even before that point, man, like I told people, like a lot of this stuff was staged and situated, like common sense. Like, you know, you got entities evil, you know, and they got selfish ambitions. You know what I'm saying? They want all of God's glory for themselves. They want to be worshipped. They want to be put on top of the world. And so they knew that my talent could have, you know, had great potential to evolve. And so a lot of things happen, man. A lot of destruction and things happen behind things that people had already knew was lies in advance. You know what I'm saying? And that's the situation. And you got these influencers, they had the money, you feel me, to put people, in positions to destroy your life, like to set you up for the okie doke in the long run. But if you're young, you don't have this kind of knowledge of things like this. You know what I'm saying? You don't have knowledge of being set up and framed and all this. So you thinking it's just life. You know what I'm saying? So they put people around you in these positions to sabotage you for the future and things like that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a situation because they put people around you, and because later then they have a reason. It's like they put people that's already having an assignment to this, later destroy your life. And so when it happens, they were working for the ulterior motive for which they was already watching your life in the first place for. And that was to ensure that your talent did not evolve and your growth, nobody saw it. And, God didn't be glorified pretty much. And so that was the situation, man. The whole time, it'd be things that was already premeditated, pre-planned. And we think about it, me not being according to the reality of the culture, period. I chose the straight and narrow early, you feel me? Early on, I knew I wanted to be on the straight and narrow, and that was in my heart and in my mind before society had implemented any of this, evil campaigns, smear, distortion, framing, stagings, baiting, all of these different types of strategies and things. You know what I'm saying? Before that even happened, I had already made my mind up that I was going to be with God anyway. Follow God, do the right thing, the straight and narrow, the paths of righteousness in advance. You feel me? So I had my decision was already made early anyway, and then I reflected that in my art. So I knew when it went out as, it got the publicity it deserved, I knew people understand instantly that that's what I represented. So around 14, I blew up, I said I went because I was, I had a couple of different platforms, various poetry sites, and I was promoted and things like that. I had to do a lot by myself, and my talent was being made manifest so everybody could see it. And I was glorifying God, and I was talking about life, talking about society, observations, things like that, things that's been, the concept, the way, like my touch on my art was evident and it was unique. But, the substance and things wasn't too different than stuff people was talking about, for years already. People talking about society or talk about, violence in society, we're against the violence, don't want to see, the hurt and don't want to see the violence, things like that people been talking about for years and still talking about, And so that's, people knew that I pretty much, my overtone was like positivity, And that's what it was that I was standing for. It was standing for the right thing. That was my point. I made sure that was evident. And so I had I took off and blew up, because I was a different rhythm. You feel me? Like it was something unique. I had my own touch on it and my own subject content matter and things. It hadn't evolved to the point where it's at now, but then, through my quotes and then also, people could tell how people could tell my aesthetic and things. I had posted some of my visual arts too, and, and things like that around that time period. I've taken them down since though, because, it was so much going on that it just wasn't safe to keep them up there. Cause then I realized people were actually stealing my stuff. I didn't know that was a threat. You feel me? I had no idea that was a threat. I never had no kind of suspicion or anything. But that was, a reality of it, and so I took a lot of my hand drawings down and, I put them up and stashed them. And, even to this, it's like nothing of mine is really safe, and it hasn't been, and I've been getting preyed on and hunted. And it's like society just pushed certain people in my way, on me heavily that, it was really no correlation between them unless they, they did commit these evils. Then that's I would imagine that's what they had people in society for. But if for some reason they can't do their job, then I feel like that was all arranged on purpose. It's that simple. It's no way possible, if we can go to the moon and that takes smarts. There's no way nobody could not foresee this situation or something like this happening to a person that don't deserve it for following God. There's also an international icon. As of 2014, I had already went and sport and blossom everywhere. And then I even made it to Goodreads. And, I had talked about this. That's one of the sites that I had made it to, in 2016. And then it like so many of my web pages, it just like, oh, I had like over 1,000 quotes and stuff up there. Then it just disappeared. Like somebody just took it down or something. And then I started getting attacked verbally, heavily from like all sides. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't understand what was happening, why it was happening. None of that. And it was just rough, man. And then every time I tried to get my website going, you know what I'm saying, they'll start attacking my sustainabilities, other times, you know what I'm saying? Like what I was doing, my profession totally different. They'll do things so I can't maintain my platforms. You know what I'm saying? Or if they didn't just attack it directly, then that's what's the other thing. So it was always a constant war. And it was a war declared on one man, you know what I'm saying, by thousands. You feel me? Like it was, I ain't saying, people that thought of themselves, but I'm saying somebody, either brainwashed or, they lied on me, slandered me, defamed me. They did something, I don't know. I didn't really care, you know what I'm saying, because my eyes was really on the Lord the whole time as it is now. You know what I'm saying? It's just now, it's like, it's negligent, stuff be, you know what I'm saying, like, it's people be forced on you to destroy your legacy in the interest of these envious influence that I know and witness already had partaken in this evil, so I don't trust them. You know what I'm saying? So, if I tell them that I witnessed these things happening to me, then like my stuff should be secured, to the point that then these influences shine up. But then it's like racketeering because like they put a positioning in a way where you will be killed by other people if they not there. But if they there, then they'll destroy you. They're able to promote that false image they put on your life in the first place, behind your back in order to facilitate a already existing long-running framing, that was already pre-existing before you start writing. So it's like, it's weird, weird situation. It's not fair. Then it's like I'll be punished because of what happened to me. I got to destroy my work, my babies. You know what I'm saying? What I love and cherish. Nobody else have to. You know what I'm saying? Something that I had already, disproved not long after it started. I nipped that in the bud quick in spite of what I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Because I seen the bigger picture. I'm like, I'm doing this for God. God with me. Then, God been with me. I trust God just that much. My faith strong. You know what I'm saying? And then I was in the violence and everything was always there. I didn't do anything, bringing on myself. I spoke up. I spoke the truth, and that's the thing. Like, I spoke up for myself according to the Bible, within the ark of the God, you know what I'm saying? Not outside, not talking crazy, you know what I'm saying? But something that's commendable to the Lord. And so, it's crazy because when you look at some of my earliest works, things like Abominable and Because We Are Lost, and then I'm talking about imitation, like all these observational poems that I'm writing, those were early, like around 2013, you know what I'm saying? I started going through brutal violence, through like from 14, through 15, 16, 16 and 17, definitely. Then it was crazy, like through 18, it was like hunting. Now, this is after, you know what I'm saying, I got poems that's like saying the kind of things that's like in my poems, like Because We Are Lost or Any Fool Can Start a Quarrel, things that align to the scripture. And I'm talking about the right things. So in that case, everything that happened after that was a reaction of the country, you know what I'm saying, for hearing the word of God. So really, my life is being persecuted, and anybody who loved me or cared about me is being, some even being killed because of the gospel of Jesus Christ, which makes any place where that's possible can't possibly be of God, because that's why they've been attacking my life the whole time, because of the Holy Bible. You know what I'm saying? So what are they under? You know what I'm saying? That they killing people for embracing the Bible that they claim to be under. Like, I don't understand that, That divine blood is just as on their hands as anybody who they try to put it on, because they facilitated the circumstances, for over a long duration of time, which explains why it's, not action taken at certain times and then action taken at certain times. I know these bold words implication, but the actions and things I was going through and living through, in spite of my viral fame at the time, was just like crazy. It was weird, you know what I'm saying? Because like around 14 and 13, man, even my Twitter page, man, that like it was always lit, man. But it was lit, with things that was aligned to my script. Like, I wasn't talking about, all the persecution and things that you're seeing today. You know what I'm saying? With the things that I was saying back then were things like the Bible and poetry. That was all. Like, it was like a unified connection, a network of the poetry community we was all, it was connected for the right things. It was Christianity, Christianity, the Christian, the poetry community, like all of it was just in sync, and it was just like not a bad situation. Like everything was like, it was just like a family good, you know what I'm saying? And it was just connected with good people, and it was all love and everything. Then these influences, whatever, saw that, and then they just jumped, they got involved in it, you know what I'm saying? They start acting on my life behind lies. And society just let it happen. They let these people have nothing to do with nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I was in the totally different lane, totally different bracket, totally different everything. You know what I'm saying? They saw that success. They saw my style. They saw everything. You know what I'm saying? I even was posting poetry. I was doing micro poetry back then in 2014. You know what I'm saying? Just like I'm doing now, which clearly shows that whatever somebody was saying was totally bullcrap. You feel me? Like it was no basis or substance to it. It's the same kind of situation it was then, Like back then, I was posting romance poems, poems about poetry, concepts of concepts. I was just doing a lot of things that wasn't being did at the time. And then, I was worldwide then. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's not surprising to me. Everybody knew me, everybody saw me. They knew what I represented, what I stood for. It was great. Then at some point, I just got blindsided, around 14. 15, 16, these evil influence artists that work with, entities, dark, evil, antichrist entities and things. I don't want to personalize, those connections, but it's like through negligence, I'm being forced to. I don't want to have to recognize these people that I already recognize commit murder on my life already, for example. You know what I'm saying? Why am I forcing me into that direction? You know what I'm saying? They don't have my best interest. They don't want God's glory be glorified. I'm only trying to program with people on the same thing I'm on. That's that God be glorified. Why are they so against God being glorified if they under him? You know what I'm saying? Like they literally email live for following God. You know what I'm saying? For following Jesus. Even, I don't want their presence, but through racketeering, it force you. You know what I'm saying? So this situation was facilitated after a long, long time to equal these results. And given the sacrifice that, that's been made, and things like that, I'm obligated, you know what I'm saying, to stay true and stand firm in the light. You know what I'm saying? These guilty entities and stuff, that, the only thing, they just don't have no resistance. They don't have nobody like really in a way stopping them. And if they do, then so a lot of times that's used to exploit me and manipulate me to brighten me so I can't embrace my art, my natural God-given talent. And then my testimony can't exist in peace. But you got people that say their testimony, that's what a lot of people art is. Their testimonies. It's not called that, though. Their testimonies is fine. This is my life. This is what I've gone through for following the Lord. I thought it was just as good as I thought it was like fair like that, But I didn't know at the time, like way back. I didn't know that the world was like this. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know it was a cutthroat, evil place, So it was a point in time was it was a point in time before it got real for me like that hectic. I was, it was battles that I was going through early on, that was totally unrelated to these big people, like these big guys, like these superstars and stuff that, at the time I didn't see myself like that. I wasn't aware of my forward progress at the time, like around 13 or whatever. So I was already going through stuff, and I was like, well, and I was handling it according to the gospel, according to the Bible, But I didn't know that my fame had really stretched out to the point where it did, and the things that I was talking about was embracing the Lord anyway. So I was like, well, that's good if, it's good if I was like that. So either way, I ain't got nothing to hide. And that was the situation. Like, I didn't know that I was under such an attack. And so that explains why, when I got blindsided back then, you know what I'm saying? I got blindsided, because, it wasn't something that I was aware of. Like, I got blindsided because it was a long premeditated situation. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was set up not to succeed and not to make it anyway. So, it's just what I know is life. You got people that was speaking on my name and stuff like that I didn't even know or heard about. And they did that, just to do this, So it's almost as if my words ain't mean nothing. I'm like, okay, why not? And so this is what I know is life. Like, I'm like, this is my story. It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And those that are people, there's of course people that was involved in the badness and the attack against a blameless man just to steal his stuff and his ideas, aesthetics, dynamics, and things. They're not gonna want this truth to be known. That's not my problem. You feel me? Should have treated me better. You know what I'm saying? This is my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them in other writers' stuff telling them to take stuff out and things like that. Like, they shouldn't have that right. And so just because, they shouldn't, and that's how like, it's like a broader situation. It's like they put like everything into ensuring that, that this crime, whatever was completed. You know what I'm saying? Like, even extend to other places. They also manipulate you, like, so I'm like, that's weird. They got these other places that got people telling you to destroy your stuff and all this, and I'm like, what's it to them, And then if they guilty, then they got immunity. You feel me? Just in case they guilty. So they pretty much threatening you with their words to you, like just their interaction with you against your will. They actually threatening you. But if that's the case and they're able to do that, then it was all orchestrated by, destruction. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible to not have foreknowledge about this situation. And so this is all I know in this life, But the difference between me and others is I've been following the Lord the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never go to the dark side, even to this moment. And that's what set me apart, But the whole situation was premeditated, staged. I just didn't understand at the time. They attacked my life at a certain point in time, behind lies. You know what I'm saying? I sat there and watched this stuff play out. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a part of this, this way of life or this, set form of living. Because I considered myself, I was on the straight and narrow. That's what my mind was made up. But I was still getting brutally savaged. You feel me? Like, like I was on, like I wasn't. And that was a situation. It was times back then, man. I had met, like, even on Twitter, like it was people that would, interact with me and stuff that was from certain places. And then, they'll tell me that, like they'll inbox me or at me, you know what I'm saying, and things like that, and tell me, like it's love and, everything good. And then I can show them love personally. And then I didn't understand later, then their account totally disappear. You feel me? Their account would disappear from the history of Twitter. You feel me? And then later, years later, then you would not even years later, it could be a couple months later, you know what I'm saying? Those, these influential figures that's I guess celebs and stuff, they use that, misrepresented that, twisted it in order to have an excuse to lie on me and to say, that I'm doing this, I'm doing that in my work, in order to be able to steal and assimilate my substance for free without having to pay me or recognize or give me credit or credit me. So it was a scam. They constantly scam. They they just sit there scheming and they was looking for a scapegoat. So given the damage that they had already rendered to me beforehand, before they ever had a reason to, or a quote unquote a reason to, they had to create a reason to or whatever. Before they ever had a reason to, they was already attacking me because they envied my literary skill. You feel me? They was jealous of my literary skills, so they had already dished me heavy damage that I didn't even know about. Like they did that before I even could discern anything. So it's like, well, then it all come to a head later, and you realize it was a scam, a finesse scam, Well, it's like, well, nonetheless, my faith still in God. But you can see though, the whole situations, all these persecutions. I'm obligated to just stand firm in my faith. And the sad thing is, it's not even my fault. My life was made into this because of somebody else's covetous and selfish ambitions. That they pretty much destroyed my life. Out of their covetous, man. Like, I didn't ask for it, I wanted to inspire, be great shine for the Lord, spread hope, spread love, encourage, motivate. I was on a totally different wavelength, man. They reach for me, grab me, you know what I'm saying? And they reach for me and then covered me, painted on me, covered me in all kinds of mummy tape and all this stuff, and just threw me on the street, you feel me? Or held me on the street. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I was, I mean, that's not what my constants was. I mean, that's not the constant of my substance. You know, it was whatever could have glorified God. If that could have glorified God, that was fine too. I'm like, well, people, long as people understand, you know, where I'm coming from, it being a glorification of the Lord. So it's been a very, very messed up situation. I just, you know, I mean, what can you do? You know, stand firm, you know, in your faith. Sabotage.